Welcome back to the Third Stringers podcast. Today we got the Jets starting off training camp. We got Saquon, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard not getting paid. Where's Ohtani going? And we got some final thoughts that will blow your mind. Let's get into it.
We're not the starters. We're not even the backups. This is the Third Stringers podcast.
First things first, we got to introduce ourselves. I'm your host, Noah. With me, we got Justin here, my basketball expert.
Hello. I don't know about expert, but I'm here.
All right. Paige is out this week, but she'll be back next week. Let's kick it off with the Jets, all right? They started training camp. Aaron Rodgers in that crisp green New York Jets uniform. You know, he's loving New York. He's feeling it. He's going to shows. He's going to the Taylor Swift concert.
Oh, my God.
He's going to New York Rangers games. He's embraced the city, and the city's embraced him. But the question is, will he get it done when he needs to get it on the field? Will he thrive? Will the Jets embrace him then, or will they completely reject him if he starts out really poorly, which I think is going to happen?
Oh,
but we'll see.
Okay.
But we'll see. So, is it truly boom or bust for the Jets? Is it Super Bowl or bust?
I don't believe it's Super Bowl or bust. I think potentially the point for them is, can they make it to the playoffs? I think that's like the goal. If they don't make it, you give Aaron Rodgers another chance, depending on how the season goes. But if they don't make it to the playoffs, it's not looking great. You really have to come through next year. If they make it to the playoffs, I think the year after that, as long as you keep your key pieces, nothing too crazy happens with injuries, then you go for the Super Bowl. But I think it's unfair for anyone, even someone as high of a status as Aaron Rodgers, the Batman in the Gotham City, to make a trade to a team, completely new environment, new team, and expect a Super Bowl. Like that's tough. That's crazy, especially from a team that was below 500 last year. So making it to the playoffs is the goal. If I'm a New York Jets fan, which I don't dislike them. Anything below that, I'm really looking for something next season.
So here's the problem that I have with the Jets is the whole season they were saying if they had a quarterback, they've got their quarterback.
That's true.
This is their opportunity. I think it is boom or bust. Playoffs are the absolute minimum that the fans will accept. If they don't make playoffs, Aaron Rodgers is going to be out of town. I'm telling you. So playoffs are the minimum that they need. But for the Jets to be truly happy, I think they at least have to make the AFC Championship game.
That's tough.
If they lose to the Chiefs, or the Bengals, it is what it is. That's the bar that they're at right now.
What about the Bills? And even in their own division, I don't think they're the best team in their division.
I think it's a toss-up. I really do.
Okay.
I think it's a toss-up.
That's fair. I think the Bills will lead in the AFC East, and then the Jets and Dolphins will be right after.
Okay. I'm a lot more optimistic about what the Dolphins did this offseason.
Yeah, me too.
Than what the Jets did.
I agree.
I know that Aaron Rodgers is Hall of Fame, top 5 quarterback of all time. I get it. But the Dolphins got better on the defensive side. They got better on the offensive side. They addressed all of their needs. Now they just need to go out and win a playoff game.
Yeah.
And the expectations are high, but I don't think are as high as what the Jets fans expect now.
Yeah. When you're in New York, it's a bloodbath, right? You have to perform or you get screamed at from everyone, which is fair. I mean, they got the money, they got the big name reputation, they can draw people in. You gotta do with that what you can.
Yep. It's a brutal media site as well, and yes. It's the true New York welcoming. It really is. So here's the thing, right? It's hard to imagine this team doing any better than 2-4 coming out of the gate. Ready? This is their first 6 games.
Okay.
Home to the Bills, at Cowboys, home to the Patriots, home to the Chiefs, at Broncos, and then home to the Eagles.
So I would say 2 wins in there for sure. Patriots, Broncos, toss up on the Bills, and yeah, I mean the rest are very tough.
Yeah, they're going to be the Patriots. If they don't beat the Patriots, the season might be shot.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers must be injured if that's the case.
Yeah, I don't see them beating the Eagles, especially early.
Yeah.
I can see them beating the Cowboys if everything's going well.
Yeah.
It's just that's the bar that they're at right now is like for the Cowboys. I don't know if they're going to beat the Cowboys.
Yeah, the Cowboys are a weird team in general. So
yeah, they are, especially in Dallas.
Yes.
At Jerry's World.
Jerry's World.
I find it hard to believe they're going to win that game too. So I feel like they would have to beat the Broncos, but it's at Mile High, which is going to be a tough.
They'll be fine against the
Broncos.
Well. They'll be fine.
All right. I see you.
If they do worse than 3-3, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, the season gets easier as you go on, but it's going to be a tough beginning, and the Jets fans.
I could easily see what would happen
because
he does something stupid leading up to the start of the season. No, it will not. Especially season, and everyone's like, "Oh, do we even want Aaron Rodgers?" And then I get into his head, or something dumb will happen like that, and it'll just tank from there.
Yeah, it could be an ugly start of the season, but they should be optimistic going into the playoffs. Even Brady with the Bucks, I know they won the Super Bowl, but it really didn't come together until the end of the season.
True.
Even into the playoffs, that's when they really, gelled well. Even after the Commanders game, I guess it was the football team at that point, but but Taylor Heineke gave them a run for their money. After that is when they really gelled, and it was perfect timing for them. So we'll see. We'll see how Aaron Rodgers gels with them. He's doing all the right things right now. He's at training camp. He's at voluntary workouts. He's doing everything right, and it's because he wants to prove it to the Packers that it wasn't him. And I get it. But we'll see. He's also turning 40. So
for the Jets, I don't think the season's a championship or a bust. But for Aaron Rodgers, it might be, because who knows what his future's like. So he needs to win, and that's getting out of the Packers to the Jets was his chance to say, I need a ring. And this is all it.
This is it.
Yeah.
This is it. All right. Let's move on to some running backs who didn't get any money. We got Saquon, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, all on the franchise tag this year. Now, they had until, I believe, Monday night to make a deal. Nobody was able to make a deal. And it's because running backs are not valued in the sport anymore. They're used up on rookie contracts, and after that, they are not given the chance to sign a long-term deal because their knees are shot, they have arthritis. It's really what Le'Veon Bell and Todd Gurley did to the league. They went for the big money. They sat out for a season. Le'Veon Bell didn't come back, and the Steelers were fine with James Conner. Todd Gurley got a big contract. He didn't do very well the next season. Sean McVay said, well, I guess I'll draft a rookie quarterback, and they were fine as well.
Yep.
So it's tough, but I get it. I understand where the teams are coming from, but I also understand why the players need to get their money. And it's hard. It's a hard scenario, but I don't see it going any other way for the next, 15, 20 years, because you can't favor one position over another.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, right, the running back position is a very violent position, right? They're not protecting you like the quarterback. You're still getting pursued by the big defensive lineman. You're getting hit going full speed. Saquon's proven that he's injury prone. He's been injured before. Josh Jacobs was injured for a while. Like, if I'm the team, I'm not risking it on these guys either. I get the old way of thinking of, well, you're loyal to the people that are good to you, but I mean, at the end of the day, what has Saquon and Josh Jacobs done for their respective teams? They're great running backs, don't get me wrong, but they haven't done anything. It's not like they're 2-time Super Bowl champs or anything crazy like that. I would rather have fresh set of legs that's, ready to take the grind of 17 weeks of football, 18 weeks of football. So that's my thought process on it. I wouldn't pay them either, especially these high salaries. But that's just my take.
Yeah, it's a tough position. And to be honest with you, how people have been drafting running backs is don't take a running back in the first round. I absolutely would take a running back in the first round.
Yep.
You get that fifth-year option that you may need. And again, I get it from teams' perspectives. That extra year could make or break a running back's future.
Mm-hmm.
And having that extra flexibility with their contract works for them. Again, it's a tough scenario, and there's nothing you can really do from the NFL's perspective or from teams' perspective. Everybody's looking out for themselves, and I get it. It's a tough scenario.
Do you think the way out of this is just running backs are going to have to get paid less money but change teams more often?
I think that's the only way. And, I mean, they're going to have to go out there and they're going to have to make sure that they don't get injured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest changes in the past, I would say 5-10 years, is the rise of the dual running back system. And welcome back. Sorry about that. We're having some technical difficulties. Noah's power went out. There's a nasty storm going through Cleveland. So I'm going to wrap up the show. Last we were talking about the running back scenario. I was discussing how because of the 2 running back system, I think that's devalued the position a little bit. You have you go for a top tier receiving running back, go for a top tier power running back. Splitting that responsibility up has really lowered the value of a dynasty running back per se, and I think that hurts the running backs' negotiations for getting the contracts they want. Moving on from that, though, we were going to talk about Ohtani and where we believe he's going to be signing this offseason. He, of course, is still playing for the Angels. There's a lot of speculation that he may be going to another team. Some of the top teams, from my perspective, and I'm not sure about Noah's, but we'll talk about that maybe on the next episode. Some of the top teams, I believe he's going to stay in the West. I think maybe on the West Coast itself, he's either going to stay in Los Angeles. He may go to the Dodgers. I know the Dodgers didn't really have a high octane offseason and signing, and they've been trying to move the money around so that they can go after a big name. And I think Ohtani's the big name they want. So Dodgers probably are the first location I think he'll be going to. The Padres are another up and coming team. They've been going off the last 3-4 years. They've been spending a lot of money and putting a lot of investment into the team. I could easily see them picking up Ohtani's contract, which is going to be outrageous. And then, of course, you have to have the Yankees in the talk. The highest value team out there, right? So they can go after anyone if they throw the money at him. And if he wants to live in another big city and he doesn't want to stay in Los Angeles, that's where he's going to end up going. And then the final team, the dark horse for me, is the Cubs, the Chicago Cubs. They've gotten rid of a lot of big name contracts on their roster the past few years. Chris Bryant, Baez, Schwarber, a couple other big names. They aren't a terrible team. They still need a few pieces. Ohtani's not going to fix it all for them, but he would be the star of that team for sure, and they can build around him and bring, hopefully, the Cubs back to another championship. And then finally, we're going to do a final thoughts segment. Noah had a surprise for me. He wouldn't tell me what it was, but for mine, my conversation with Noah was going to be if big name players or just players in general, any sport, should have the obligation to sign autographs. And the reason I'm bringing this up is over the past week, Patrick Mahomes was berated by a father when he denied signing for his son. basically saying, I've been told I can't sign anymore. I've gone past my limit for the day, or the time limit, and I can't sign right now. And the dad was just very upset, rightfully so that he was upset. His son finally gets a chance to meet one of the top quarterbacks of all time, ask for a signature, and you get told no. Like, the time it takes to tell him no, you could have just signed real fast. So I'm asking you, the audience, what are your thoughts on players signing things? Should they be obligated to? I don't think they should be obligated to. But what level of requirement, right? You're a famous celebrity. Kids look up to you, especially younger kids, 5 to 10. Like, you're heroes to them. Do you believe that these big name players should be signing autographs no matter what? And with that, we're going to wrap up the show. Sorry, it's been a weird one. It's been a fun behind-the-scenes recording as well. I will close out with this. If you like the podcast, give us a follow, give us a subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. If you're watching this, obviously, we're on YouTube. If you enjoy it, following us is the best way to support us. We really appreciate it. And we will talk to you next time with Noah and Paige in the podcast too, and hopefully power doesn't go out. Thank you. See ya.